I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a little bit as I move along. Right now we are reading the story of Solomon. And in my last reading, I read the first half of the third chapter of 1 Kings. I will finish that chapter soon, but right now I want to turn to the first chapter of the book of 2 Chronicles. And we're going to read it because it covers the same basic story as the first half of chapter 3 of 1 Kings. Let us read this. Chapter 1. Solomon magnified before all Israel. The Lord appears to him. Solomon chooses and is given wisdom. His kingdom is also blessed with splendor and riches. And Solomon the son of David was strengthened in his kingdom, and the Lord his God was with him, and magnified him exceedingly. And Solomon spake unto all Israel, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, and to judges, and to every governor in all Israel, the chief of the fathers. So Solomon and all the congregation with him went to the high place that was at Gibeon. For there was the tabernacle of the congregation of God, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, had made in the wilderness. But the ark of God had David brought up from Kirjath-jearim to the place which David had prepared for it, for he had pitched a tent for it at Jerusalem. Moreover, the brazen altar that Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, had made, he put before the tabernacle of the Lord. And Solomon and the congregation sought unto it. And Solomon went up thither to the brazen altar before the Lord, which was at the tabernacle of the congregation, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings upon it. In that night did God appear unto Solomon, and said unto him, Ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said unto God, Thou hast shewed great mercy unto David my father, and hast made me to reign in his stead. Now, Lord, O Lord God, let thy promise unto David my father be established, for thou hast made me king over a people like the dust of the earth in multitude. Give me now wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people. For who can judge this thy people, that is so great? And God said to Solomon, Because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of thine enemies, neither yet hast asked a long life, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people, over whom I have made thee king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee, and I will give thee riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there any after thee have the like. Then Solomon came from his journey to the high place that was at Gibeon to Jerusalem, from before the tabernacle of the congregation, and reigned over Israel. And Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, which he placed in the chariot cities, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver and gold at Jerusalem as plenteous as stones, and cedar trees made he as the sycamore trees that are in the vale for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price, and they fetched up and brought forth out of Egypt a chariot for 600 shekels of silver, and an horse for 150. And so brought they out horses for all the kings of the Hittites, and for the kings of Syria by their means. Okay, I know I read the entire chapter without pausing, but the basics of that, the first 12 verses, are basically what we read in Kings chapter 3. It kind of glosses over some of the beginning stuff of, remember, in the Joseph Smith translation for Kings chapter 3, it talked about how Solomon didn't start with his worship of the Lord. He made a political alliance with Egypt, but God blessed him anyways because the people were trying to live righteously, and so God blessed their king for their sake. And when Solomon saw these blessings, he started realizing the source, and he started praying to God, and in answer to that prayer, we get this whole story of what will I give you? He asks for wisdom. It's the same basic story, just not with all the details. But I do like this one thing. That it says here, Oh, wrong chapter. Sorry. Page got turned on me. It says, "For who can judge this thy people that is so great?" And in Kings, it just said, "Who can judge this thy great people?" But the Joseph Smith translation altered that to say, "Who can judge this people, thy great people?" I kind of like that Chronicles matches closer to what is said in the Joseph Smith translation. I just kind of like that. Now, I like this also, where it talks about now he's made wise, and then he has all this greatness. They went up to Gibeon because that's where the altar was. That's where the tabernacle was. They come back, and now in the economy, so he makes gold and silver as stones, as common as stones. The people were wealthy. It wasn't just the king. The city of Jerusalem was a wealthy city. He had over 1,000 chariots, several thousand horsemen. He traded with Egypt. They bought it at a price, and then they brought it back. In other words, they were making a profit. That's what he's saying. They're making a good profit. They are doing good business here. So, and it makes sense that Egypt would be their first stop for trade because Solomon has married the daughter of Pharaoh. There is an alliance between the two at this point. So this prosperity, but he does say he brought the horses from Egypt and then sold them to Syria and the Hittites so that they would have horses. And so we see this isn't just trade with Egypt. He goes to Egypt to get goods at a good price. He buys them all at a price. So he buys the stuff at a good price, and then he trades it to other nations for profit. This is what's going on. We're getting a brief overview or summary of the economy that's going on. Israel has always been the center of the trade routes in the Mediterranean. That is why, throughout history, until after the Roman Empire anyways, Israel, even though it is a relatively small nation, has been the site of large battles. Large wars have been centered in this area because it is where Europe, in order to trade with Asia or Africa, has to come through. Africa has to go through to get to Asia and Europe. It's the crossroads of three major continents, and the peoples of these three continents, in order to trade, have to go through Israel. And we're seeing some evidence of that being described here. I like it. But in my next video, we will get back to 1 Kings. So I'll see you then.